It's the standard practice of this committee for the chairman to ask nominees the following question. Do you agree without reservation to comply with any request or summons to appear or testify before any duly constituted committee of Congress if you're confirmed?
I do.
We'll now proceed to 7 minutes of questioning. The record should show, and I think will show, a lack of contrition, no apology, and no regrets for your support. You completely understand the violence that was perpetrated on me. You're unrepentant. The only thing you quibble about is whether I met you somehow when you were in the House. I don't think we ever met when you were in the House. And this idea that the only thing you're upset about is not that you were for violence. What you're upset about is that I called you a liar because you said it to my face. It's really more about this machismo that you have. When in Oklahoma the media asked you about the refugee welfare programs, the programs you voted to continue funding, it was this whole idea that you were going to transfer it because you were uncomfortable, your anger, low impulse control, causes you to then go after and decide that you're going to go after me as well. And so you say you completely understood that I was assaulted from behind, had 6 ribs broken and part of my lung removed, and that was just fine. That's something that you, I guess, approve of as far as resolution of political problems. When I talked to you privately on the phone, there was no apology. You just said, well, we can let our political difference, go by. And you said a few minutes ago, we can just set it aside. Well, political differences we can, but when you say that you agree with a felon, a Trump-hating felon who attacked me, somehow you think I'm just going to set that aside? Oh, it's no big deal. I lay in pain for 2 months, had 6 ribs broken, 3 of them separated, grinding upon bone for months, had part of my lung removed, and you think that's great and to be extolled. I mean, the sheer lack of any kind of self-awareness that you're going to be leading thousands of men and women who will have the use of force, and there's been great questions in our country about how that will be used, and you think a violent attack is just fine. So I guess my first question is, do you think that justifying that kind of violence sets a good example for the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol?
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I didn't know the extent of your damage. When the phone call was made, I made it to you, and I tried to talk to you. You didn't engage at all. In fact, you said, get your paperwork in. It's got to be 3 days in between.
You offered no apology.
Sir?
And you offer no apology today and no regrets. Haven't heard the word apologize, haven't heard the word regret, haven't heard I misspoke and it was heated and I made a mistake. Haven't heard any of those words.
Sir, actually, it wasn't heated, and I'm not apologizing for pointing out your character.
Good. So you're jolly well fine, and you want the American public and the people up here to vote that may or may not vote for you to know that you supported the felonious, violent attack on me from behind.
I did not say I supported it. I said I understood it. There's a difference.
So that means you really didn't approve of it, just completely understand it. What do you think most people would interpret completely understand to be? Support for or a condemnation of the violence?
Sir, as I said, we can have our differences. It's not going to keep me from doing my job as Secretary of Homeland Security. I'm going to secure Kentucky and take care of Kentucky as much as I am Oklahoma.
If this were a one-off, it would be one thing. If you just disliked me so much that you approved of violence against me, people could just write it off. Well, maybe they hate each other. But really, there's a pattern of this. Let's go ahead and roll the tape.
You know where to find me, any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on. Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution?
Hold it. No, sit down. Sit down. Okay. You're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond? Mr.
Hold it.
If he got up too, would you have gone at it right there in the hearing room?
I would have probably jumped over the dais at that point.
You have to be called out on it. If not, this guy continues to get away with this stuff. And it's just, it's silly, it's stupid, but every now and then you need to get punched in the face.
Well, go back to the 1800s and 1700s. They used to have canings.
And duels. And they used to have duels.
Yeah. Right. And there was a way that men used to settle their differences. I ignored him 4 times prior to that. And people say, yes, you're supposed to ignore it. Well, you know, I'm not a very good Christian. I try to be a good Christian. And I know people say you're supposed to turn the other cheek. I prefer the David method.
But we need to move from an almost
And by
fight.
the way, I'm not afraid of biting. I will bite.
Biting?
I'll bite 100%. Yeah. I'm in a fight. I'm going to bite. I'll do anything. I mean, I'm not above it. And I don't care where I bite, by the way. It just is going to be a bite.
In hindsight, any regrets?
No, I really don't.
So no regrets. In fact, even after your anger had cooled, you were still bragging that if he'd only been brave enough to stand up, you'd have jumped over the dais and taught him a lesson, because that's how men should settle their differences. Do you think fighting as a resolution for political differences is a good example for the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol?
As you can notice over my shoulder here is my good friend Sean O'Brien. Both of us have had conversations. Both of us have shaken hands. And both of us agreed we could have done things different. Sean is someone that has become a close friend. We talk all the time. I've been on his podcast. We've talked through this. That's how you handle your differences. Not like this, Chairman.
I'm glad you guys are friends now and that you've reconciled. But really, it doesn't get to the real point whether or not you think violence is the way we settle things. In the days after the fight, you said, and I quote, "Sometimes people just need to be punched in the face." Is that still your opinion, that political disputes can sometimes and often only be resolved by violence?
No, I don't always agree with that. I don't believe in political violence. I've made that very clear. But sometimes people do need, theoretically speaking, sir, I get it. It's about character assassination for you. That's the way this game is played. I understand it. And you are making this about you, which is fine, but that doesn't keep me as Secretary of Homeland Security.
Character assassination when you were the one lauding the assault. Who do you think started that character assassination? I'm just repeating what you have done in character assassination. I'm repeating your support for the assault. So that's somehow something I started?
No, sir. What I'm saying is you're adding a lot to it.
In the days after the fight, you did many interviews in which you justified the violence as historically justified by precedents, such as caning and dueling. Is it today your opinion that the caning of Charles Sumner was not only justified but argues still for resolving our political differences with violence?
What I was simply pointing out is some of the rules that still apply to this body. For instance, dueling with two consenting adults is still there. I was pointing out what is still
illegal for 170 years. There's no precedent for legal dueling. Even then, they fled the country. Do you realize that the man that beat Charles Sumner with a cane, he beat him till he was unconscious? You know why no senators intervened? Because his friend held a gun on the other senators, and he kept beating him until he crushed his skull. That's what you're insinuating is the precedent of the Senate, and that's what you live by. That is a very, very dangerous sentiment. After a half a dozen victory lap interviews where you pointed out that the union guy was just lucky that fear kept him from standing up, Dana Bash asked you if you have any regrets about bringing violence to a Senate committee, and you replied that you have no regrets. Today you've said you have no regrets about being happy, being completely understanding why I was attacked from behind. You had no regrets about, instigating a brawl in a Senate committee hearing. Are those still your opinions?
Mr. Chairman, you're going to have your opinion. I'm going to have mine. As Secretary of Homeland Security, I'm going to bring peace of mind and security to this country, and I'm going to stay laser focused on that.
Senator Peters.
Senator Mullin, you have made several public statements suggesting that you were involved in special security forces or combat operations overseas. In 2023, you said in a Senate Republican Conference podcast, and I'll quote, "There's another side of my bio that I don't ever talk about, nor will I. I had to go do something overseas." On March 2nd of this year, you told Fox News interview, quote, "War is ugly. It smells bad. If anybody has ever been there and been able to smell the war that's happening around you and taste it and feel it in your nostrils and hear it, it's something you will never forget." On March 3rd, in a podcast interview, you stated, quote, I did special assignments outside of DOD, now DOW. I never wore the uniform or the flag on my shoulder, but I might have been in the same area. Your statements in public interviews and your responses to the committee are, quite frankly, are confusing, and they are inconsistent. And I'd like you to clear this up. You're under oath. We can clear it all up right now. And first, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record my letter to you on March 11th and your addendum to the committee of March 12th regarding any overseas special assignments.
Without objection.
So my question for you, sir, is before your time in Congress, other than on vacations with your family, have you ever traveled to a foreign country?
No.
You've never traveled to a foreign country?
Outside of vacation or mission work? No.
Okay. Have you, your FBI report does show some travel. I think it was to Georgia and Azerbaijan. You marked that was not for tourists.
Are you referring to August of 2021 when we went to go get the Americans out of Afghanistan?
I'm just
That's
saying.
what that travel was for, which
Okay.
we did
So
clarify that.
You have traveled. So you've traveled to Azerbaijan and Georgia. That was in your FBI report, although you just said you've never traveled.
Sir, I thought you were referring to a different time, but in 2021, it was well documented. In fact,
Okay.
it was all over the news, and I actually did say that, and we put that down on the report. But that was us, which was all over the news, trying to go with a extremely experienced team.
I've got other questions. Thank
Yeah.
you. But so you have traveled overseas, despite your previous comment. Were you ever, ever an employee, volunteer, or otherwise involved with the Department of Defense, State Department, or other U.S. agency or contractor for any of those departments?
No. And Senator, I think there's a misunderstanding here that I could clear up if you want me to clear up for you.
Please.
Okay, so this is official trip, and it is classified. But in 2015, I was asked to train with a very small contingency and go to a certain area, which was scheduled for 2016. During that time, I was asked to go through, had to meet certain training qualifications, had to go through SEER training. The training and stuff was kind of fun. The SEER training was absolutely awful. And I have spoken in general about my experiences, but I've never spoke specifically on details, on dates, or on the mission. And that was official, and there was nothing in the report to the committee. Actually, it said you do not have to claim any official trips. And like I said, that was an official trip that is classified.
This is an official trip while you were a member of Congress?
Yes. 2015, 2016, I was a member of Congress. Some of it may be public, but it would be very small. Most of it, because of my recollection, which we're going back 10 years, I think there was only 4 people read in on it.
So where was that trip?
I just said it's classified, sir.
It's classified. So the letter that we sent to you said that we need to have information of any of these activities.
It said not official trips. Your paperwork was very clear, excluding any official trips. This was an official trip as a member.
Well, we have more questions we're going to have to ask. When in the FBI report, I asked, is there anything in that report that is classified, that you were involved in any kind of classified operation at all? And there's none. So
It was also excluding, it also said excluding official duties. It says that. And you guys had the paperwork in front of you, and it always says excluding official duties. We had this committee come to us and ask the same questions. We talked about doing mission work. We talked about doing mentorship. But they said official duties that was in your official capacity does not have to be talked about.
So where did you smell war?
Sir, I just said that this was classified. And the dates, locations, and admission, I've never spoke specifically details about.
Well, we can get that information.
That's fine.
Mr. Chair.
You're welcome to get it.
We will want to find out more information
That's
about that.
that's perfectly okay,
It's important
Senator.
to have the truth here, and that you're portraying yourself in a truthful way. It's
Sir, I'm
important
not
for a
portraying
secretary.
myself in any way other than you're asking the question. I said I would try to clear it up for you.
We'll continue to work on that.
Thank you.
After DHS officers shot and killed 2 American citizens this past January, you joined top administrative officials in publicly blaming and disparaging the victims. Following the killing of Renee Good, Secretary Noem called her a domestic terrorist. You, sir, you called Alex Preddy, quote, a deranged individual that came in to cause max damage. Could we expect those kinds of quick responses if you are confirmed as secretary? Would you be basically, well, you did, you responded as Secretary Noem. Are we going to just expect that same behavior all over again?
No, Senator. I have a deep amount of respect for you. We've had our differences, but I do respect you. I think I said this privately when we had a conversation. Those words probably should have been retracted. I shouldn't have said that, and as Secretary, I wouldn't. The investigation is ongoing. And there is, like I said, there's sometimes going to make a mistake, and I'll own it. That one, I went out there too fast. I was responding immediately without the facts. That's my fault. That won't happen as Secretary.
So you regret that statement?
I already said that. Yes, sir.
Would you want to apologize to the family of Alex Preddy?
Well, sir, I just said I regret those statements.
Is that the same as an apology?
I haven't seen the investigation. We'll let the investigation go through, and if I'm proven wrong, then I will absolutely.
How would you characterize your relationship with President Trump?
He's a friend.
How frequently have you spoken with him in the past year?
Often, most of the time about my family. If you want to explain the friendship, I'll tell you. My wife will tell you the same thing. When someone loves your kids when they're going through a difficult time, like we have, the amount of outpouring of support from the president and the friendship we saw going back to 2000 or 2020 was quite remarkable. And so I speak to the president from a friend level more than I do a policy level.
Okay. I have more questions, but my time is up.
Thank you, Senator.
Doing it in a second round.
Thank you.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Senator Johnson and Senator Langford, for let me skip the line. I have to, unfortunately, go to Dover for the dignified transfer, so I appreciate taking the time. It's not often that I get to ask questions for somebody who I've known for a long time, meaning in politics, 2.5 years is a long time. I've gotten to know you as a friend, as a colleague. I've seen you interact as a dad. I've seen you interact as a husband. And I just want the American people to know you're a good man.
Thank you.
That doesn't always go through all the political shenanigans. And maybe you're not going to replace Shakespeare as the next greatest orator on earth. You talk from the heart. And that's okay. You are who you are. You don't, and I think that's what you don't apologize for, is just being yourself. And sometimes we're imperfect. We don't do the 20-person focus group every time you say a word. And I think that's what people like about you, Markwayne. So I appreciate you being here. I honestly just have one question for you. Do you pledge to support and defend the United States of America nearly as much as you would protect and defend your family?
Without doubt, sir, yes.
So I'm going to ruin everything for the audience. You will be confirmed. You will have the job, and you're going to make this country safer and better. And for that, I thank you and thank your family for supporting you. So I will use the rest of my time now to make a little case to the American people. We have 260,000 families that have not received a paycheck in over a month. 260,000 American citizen families who have not received a paycheck in over a month. None of those people are in charge of policy. There's not one of those families that makes policy decisions for the most part. That's on the people here. There isn't a single human being on this dais that has missed a paycheck. Every single one of us has gotten a paycheck the last 30 days and before that. And yet we sit here and we do political theater. And I said to my colleague, Senator Britt, the other day, that in my 14 months here, I only felt ashamed of this chamber once, and that was last Thursday. When you saw the ultimate political theater, colleagues going, let's fund TSA. How about the Coast Guard? Oh, that's a different person that's going to talk about that. How about FEMA? It's a different person that's going to talk about that. You can't have it both ways, by the way. You can't have Democrats saying, I can't believe the Trump administration is cutting government employee numbers. By the way, over 300,000, we haven't missed a beat. And yet at the same time, not pay people who are actually showing up for it. That seems decently incongruous. We can't say President Trump isn't defending the Homeland. Well, he is absolutely doing that every single day. And yet we're allowing these agencies to not be funded. And I have tried really hard to learn how this place works. This is all very new to me. And I remember many, many Democrats saying to me, we have the constitutional duty to fund agencies through appropriations. And then we have a separate piece where we argue policy differences, but we should never marry both together. Because when you marry both together, you don't hurt us. You don't hurt the people here in D.C. You hurt the men and women who are going to work every day to defend this country. And that's a disgrace. I actually don't know how you would sleep at night knowing that you're hurting families like that. People can't make their rent payments, can't make their mortgage payments. Their cars are being repossessed. They're having to tell their kids they can't send them to dance recitals because they did everything right in life except got a job with the Department of Homeland Security so that a politician can make a 30-second video online and then use it to fundraise for the next election. That's disgusting. So let me just say this. What are we not talking about? You know, the ranking member said, oh, look, we said we'd fund. He's not paying attention right now, which is fine. We said we're going to fund FEMA. When if you guys are done talking, I'll continue if you like. Are you done? Okay, thank you. It's extraordinarily disrespectful. All right, so moving on. You said you're going to fund all these agencies. Here's ones that you haven't funded. USCIS, near and dear to my heart. Near and dear to my heart. That's how I became a U.S. citizen. We've defunded the agency that allows legal immigrants into this country? That is insane. Never hear the Democrats talk about that. 3,300 employees just go to work every day trying to process legal immigrants. They don't need a paycheck. I'm going to skip the second one. Go to the third one. Biological and nuclear threat prevention. That seems important. That seems like an agency we should fund. 200 employees, not getting a paycheck. That's okay with the Democrats. The next one, 60,000 employees for U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. People who are inspecting packages, they work with your Teamsters, work with Customs. They're not getting paid. How do you look at those people in the face and know that you're doing that? Now let's talk about Immigration Customs Enforcement. 7,000 special agents that are stopping transnational criminal organizations, drug smugglers, and human traffickers. Are you, in the Democrat side, asking not to fund that? Because ultimately, what this is about is defunding ICE and law enforcement. Are you suggesting that we not fund an organization that attacks transnational organizations? Be specific. Be specific when you say you don't want to fund ICE. I want you to say the words, we do not want to fund 7,000 special agents that are in charge of stopping transnational criminal organizations, drug smugglers, and human traffickers. This job isn't complicated. The American people send us here to get things done, and yet for the third time in 6 months, we've shut down this government with total impunity. They will go home and just make social media videos and try to blame Republicans. It is a disgrace. It's even more of a disgrace, honestly, that you talked about the respect that Senator Mullin shares. You guys have side conversations, don't listen, and that's fine. You don't have to. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave. I'm going to go pay respects to 3 soldiers who died so that we can have the liberties that we enjoy here. And you guys continue with political theater, personal attacks, whatever you can do. I know that is a good man. I will vote for you. Our Republican colleagues will vote for you. You will get confirmed. You will do a great job, and you will make this country proud, Markwayne. Thank you, and thank you for standing by a great American person.
Senator Hassan.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I start with my remarks and my questions, just with regard to Senator Moreno, who has left the dais, the American people should know this. ICE is right now funded with more money than it's had in past budgets. And the partial limited shutdown that we have right now has nothing to do with ICE. Meanwhile, Democrats have consistently over the last week moved to fund the rest of the Department of Homeland Security, and the Republicans have blocked that funding. So let's just be clear about what's happening here. Now, I want to congratulate Senator Mullin and Christie for the nomination. I know your family is very proud, and I know how much you love them. I also want to thank Chairman Paul for speaking so openly about a really difficult thing, which is the actual physical impact of violence, and in this case, political violence. It is a hard thing to do, but it is a really important thing to do at this time in our country's history. So thank you, Chairman. The Department of Homeland Security was created in the wake of the September 11th terrorist attacks with a clear mission: to keep our country safe, secure, and free. The department's work includes counterterrorism operations, disaster recovery, physical and cyber protection of critical infrastructure, and immigration enforcement. The stakes for the success of the Department of Homeland Security could not be higher. And that's also why Granite Staters and Americans of all stripes have been deeply concerned about what they've seen from the Department of Homeland Security under this administration. People have been rightfully outraged about the lawlessness from the department's leadership, which has not only resulted in the death of 2 American citizens, but has also led to the hollowing out of agencies like FEMA. So to Senator Mullin and my colleagues, what happens here in this room today is not nearly as important as what happens at our border, on our streets, in our communities, and in our businesses tomorrow and every day thereafter. So, Senator Mullin, I'm going to start with a question I have asked every one of the president's nominees. If directed by the president to take an action that would break the law, would you follow the law or follow the president's direction?
Senator, thank you for the questions and thank you for the concerns. First of all, I've enjoyed working with you on several different issues. We've had very blunt conversations. To answer your question, the president would never ask me to do that.
Well, certainly everyday Americans who have served on juries would disagree with you about that. And the example he has set calls into question that answer.
So,
Let's
Senator,
move. Sir,
yes.
I have limited time, as
Okay,
you
yes,
well know.
Go ahead.
In the past 14 months, Secretary Noem has fundamentally broken the American people's trust in the Department of Homeland Security. The top priority of whoever leads this department next must be to rebuild this trust. If confirmed to lead the department, how will you be different from Secretary Noem?
Senator, I think I've said this in a private conversation too. I love Senator Noem's family, and I consider them friends. But everybody has different leadership styles. And throughout my businesses, when I would have to transfer one manager to the next or one executive to another area, and you bring in a different one, they all have different management styles. My management style is empowering people. And as I said in my opening statement, I want to protect the homeland. I want to bring peace of mind. And I want to bring confidence back to the agency. I'm not going to be the smartest guy in any room I walk into, but I know how to get talent, and I know how to bring those people together.
Let me interrupt you again. I'm
Yes.
sorry, sir,
That's okay.
because our time is limited. But let's be really clear. What Secretary Noem did was give the green light to lawless behavior. Are you going to give the green light to lawless behavior?
I will operate within the parameters and the policies and the laws that you guys set for me.
And the Constitution of the United States.
Of course, the Constitution
the Fourth
of the United
Amendment,
States.
among other things.
Of course, the Constitution of the United States. I'll swear to uphold that when I get sworn in. But be very clear, I don't get to choose the laws that I enforce. You guys pass the laws. I enforce those laws.
Right.
And the reason why we haven't had...
shooting a protester who was exercising his First Amendment speech and carrying a lawfully licensed gun is not a lawful behavior. Now, let's move on to another issue. Granite Staters pushed back hard against ICE's plan to build a detention center in Merrimack, New Hampshire. And despite poor communication from the department, eventually Secretary Noem canceled the plans for this facility. Senator, will you ensure that the Merrimack plan remains off the table, or will you consider restarting it?
Ma'am, I haven't seen the facts behind it. As I stated when we spoke in your office, I will work with you on this. We want to be good partners in your state and in your community. I don't know the strategic purpose of it. I don't know what has happened, so it's hard for me to state something that I haven't got briefed on. But I have made this very clear to you in private and here too. I will work with the community leaders and make sure that we're delivering for the American people what the president set out.
I appreciate that. In follow-up conversations with my office, ICE refused to comment on opening new facilities elsewhere in New Hampshire. They've said they won't do it in Merrimack, New Hampshire. But will you commit to me that ICE will not open any new facilities in New Hampshire or elsewhere in the country without the support of the local community?
Ma'am, I will work with the local community, and I'll work with you in your office. I won't be able to speak to that until I understand the risk and the reason behind delivering the mission that's set in front of us. We got to protect the homeland, and we're going to do that. But obviously, we want to work with community leaders. We want to be good partners, and we're going to work in your state as hard to make sure we build relationships and work in that manner.
Well, look, I will be here for a second round of questions because I have a lot more. But let me just point this out. Americans want to secure their country.
I agree.
We all love this country. We all know we need to be safe, secure, and we all want to be free together. The people of New Hampshire will take into consideration a request by ICE and the federal government to do its part. But transparency and local control and respect of local people throughout New Hampshire and throughout the country is an essential piece of our democracy. And what I've been hearing from ICE and from other DHS folks is, well, the pushback's too hard. You either can make the case for these facilities and explain how you're going to support the local community and deal with the fact that they'll lose property tax dollars, for instance, or if you can't make the case, it shouldn't be built. So I really would encourage the department and all of us to remember that this is a government of by and for the people, and if you can't make the case to the people, you shouldn't be doing it. Thank you.